Milagro Christian Church, part of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, is a new church in Pueblo, Colorado, dedicated to giving itself away in love to the community. For more information about Milagro, visit milagrocc.org or call 719-545-6400.
So this was the volunteer station, and the volunteers came from all over Colorado and other parts of the country, and they'll stay at this Navajo Nation, thank you, that helps a lot, the Navajo Nation chapter house. Some people even camp out in trailers or tents, and you see there's a little tent to the right there. So they come in just whatever vehicle they can make it in, and you'll see some of the trucks and all have ladders and tools, and Damien Rotolo's truck is the bright yellow one in the lower left, and he had table saws and everything, and they all made the trip from Pueblo. So in the Navajo Nation, it's not really part of the United States. They're not governed by the U.S. They have their own laws, and they are their own nation. And poverty is a really widespread problem there. This is an example of someone's, was a 4-room house. This was the main room, and there were 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. And many residents live without basic necessities, such as plumbing. This is a cesspool containing sewage, and we don't allow those in our, in most states, in most counties. So this is a very old style of getting rid of people's sewage in their homes. Lacking adequate resources, the residents struggle to cope with physical ailments and illnesses. This is a young man, he's about 23 years old, and that's his sister. They live in this Airstream camp trailer year-round, and they break my heart. She's taking care of him, and Damien was working on a little, I don't know what you would call it, cabin, I guess, and we'll see a picture of that. She's pushing him in it looks like a chair, and it's got wheels that are about 8 inches high, and he's very heavy, and it's very hard to push him, and it's really not a wheelchair, but she does her best to move him around, and he has MS, and he has a walker, and he's moving between the walker and the wheel in this wheeled chair, I guess I would call it. And the Navajo Nation, they grapple with addiction and alcoholism and violence. We took some pictures just right off the road, and there were some homes that were just beautiful, actually. They were way above what we were working on, and I don't know how it got out of control, but something happened up there, and this one, it's a little dark to see, but there was a fire in here, and it was bashed down, the door was knocked down, and this was one of maybe 20 homes that we looked at that had broken windows and weeds, and it was just astounding. I think they didn't get the occupants in them quick enough, and unfortunately, this is right on the main road to an elementary school, and that's what these little kids see every day when they go to school. So one of our volunteer groups tackled a number of projects. This was the house that, what's the name of that house, Nicole? Do you remember? Melinda Lee. And it took a huge team of people. I think there was like 10 people working on that house painting, and we had a lot of kids in there, and they just did such miracles in there. It was fantastic to see, and they worked on the outside and on the inside and pretty much made this whole house over for this family. And together we worked to repair the homes by cleaning. This is a different home. It was Charlie's place, and you can see there's just all kinds of tools and buckets and paint buckets and that kind of thing. And this still is, I believe that's Charlie's house. This gentleman here, I don't know, we had an elderly group of people that were there. A lot of them have been coming for 18 years. And so some of them are in their 70s and standing on little step stools and holding little power saws over their head and sanders. And so, you can see God in these people. It was just a daily moment thing that you saw God working every moment. And this is another door, an example of a home that was, what was that one? The Dodge home. They all had little names, so we knew which home we were referring to. And here's another gentleman painting, and more ladies. They just worked as a little team together and rolled that paint out. It was just incredible what people could do on their little teams. There were a lot of broken windows there for some reason. I don't know, maybe they need to move to plexiglass or something, but just so many windows were broken. And these ladies are still smiling. It was wonderful. I was on the curtain crew, and we were measuring, this is the Melinda Lee home with the curtains, and we measured windows, and that one curtain you saw earlier, that, if you call it a curtain, it kind of was like a rag. We took it down and made a joke, this was our sweatshop. We worked for pretty low wages. This was another one. There was 3 of us, and we had donated curtains that were just phenomenal. There was a suede cloth in a light olive, and we had some brown, and it was amazing. The curtains that we were able to put together, they were just beautiful. And some of them were going in this home. This is where the gentleman with MS was going to be living. And this is the home that Damien was working on. And we went into, it was just a shell, and they put up the insulation, and they just work like fiends. They put it up in the roofing and in the walls, and you can see they're wiring it for electricity and plumbing. And that wasn't completed just yet before we left, but a lot of our projects were. And I just, God was everywhere, every day, every moment, in the volunteers and in the Navajo people. This is, this woman here standing, her name is Anita, and her family. And they came at 5:30 in the morning to make breakfast for all of the workers that were there. And they worked hard. Some of them just got off of working a 12-hour shift overnight from 7 to 7, and they came in and shared breakfast with us and helped us get our materials together and for our lunch the next day, or for that day. And then they'd be there at supper time with Navajo tacos. And so these people have huge hearts. They're just wonderful. And she is actually an officer, I believe, at the chapter house, and helped find which homes we would go to. And a lot of the people came a week ahead of time, and I think there was at least 7 homes that we worked on. And Anita and her family helped choose the homes that were selected. And I know one of the homes, my daughter Nicole and I both went, and Nicole worked on the Dodge home, as we mentioned. The woman, the mother or grandmother in the house, was getting kidney dialysis, and she wasn't there. And she was confined to a wheelchair, and they had Nicole took part in making a handicap ramp for the back door so that she could get into her home with her wheelchair. And we had doctors in there running a paintbrush, and kids and people from all walks of life. It was just phenomenal to see how people gave of themselves to help with these situations that we ran into there at the Navajo Nation. And this is the collection of people that were there for this mission trip. And a couple folks here today are Gail and Margot back in the back. You guys want to stand? Raise your hand. And Nicole and Damien. And I know there's a couple people here in the group today that gave financial donations, and you can see that the monies that were donated and people who attended the fundraising concert, that all of your money went to really a good effort and was well spent, and anything donated, clothing, curtains, whatever, your time, or staying here and being in support of all of us. I think it was a wonderful project, and I would encourage anyone else who might even be thinking about it, take a couple days off of work, and it's really good for your soul. I think you'd see God there. So that's my message. Thank you. Oh, I do have one final slide. I'm sorry, I do wanted to say this one thing. It's pretty darn dark. On the way home from the trip, we stopped at the Milagro coffee shop. And interestingly enough, I went in the bathroom, and as I came out, there was this sign on the wall, and it is actually from Proverbs 31:8 and 9, and I wished it was bright enough that I could read that. But talks about, can you?
It says, "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly, defend the rights of the poor and the needy."
And I was just sort of like, oh my gosh, I think God's saying something there to me as I was walking out of the coffee shop. I was just floored. And so, in order to speak up for those who are in need, I felt like I'd share this trip with all of you.